Hello all, Mr. Moxie back again with the writing and language test. Now, for the writing and language test, if you're using the older copy of the book, this should be page 1160, test 8, section 2. And if you're using the newer copy of the book, should be page 572. So I wanted to run through a couple of things about the writing and language section here. There weren't that many juicy ones in test 10 as far as semicolon and colon, but in the reminder notes for this video, I will certainly have some semicolon and colon reminders, and you also should have that on your sheet. But I wanted to walk through a couple of basic things. So I marked a couple of questions that stuck out to me here on this test, if you're looking for a couple to work through. The first does actually involve semicolons a little bit, but the key to this question is the pattern that you're looking for here. If you notice, the pattern here is which choice most effectively combines the sentences at the underlined portion. What I want you to note is that you have a single word here, read, repeated, and then you have a bunch of, in other words, red is, in addition, red is, the color red. On this one, you can just basically go, the street is a sea of red, comma, the traditional Chinese color of luck and happiness. That one reads fine. So if it read fine with just red and a comma, what you really want to have on test day is a bias towards these ones that just use the word by itself when it's a repeated word. Unless there's really something from a structure sentence that, from a structure standpoint that's going wrong with that, you really want to have a bias towards this one. And the way I explain that is the word yada yada method. Word yada 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 yada, word yada 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 yada, word yada 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 yada. Often we've noticed in class that it's just the word by itself in that scenario. So look out for that. You're going to see that all throughout the test. Another way that I explain that is if the English is pretty much the same on all of them, meaning it's saying the same thing and it's grammatically correct in the same way. If the English is the same, try the math. And by try the math, I mean go with lowest word count, okay? Wanted to highlight number 17 of this stretch because this is one that doesn't occur in the first couple of tests that we use in the class, and so I just want to make sure we cover this, and it's called false comparison. And if you look at this one, many of the moves in the dance, such as jumps, rolls, and kicks, are similar to martial arts and acrobatics. So if we're looking to identify a grammatical issue, there actually is a problem grammatically. Even though this sounds like a sentence you would say, in real life, it's technically grammatically incorrect, because many of the moves in the dance are similar to, what it should say is they are similar to the moves in martial arts. Because with comparisons, you always want to avoid a faulty comparison where you're comparing the moves in a dance to martial arts, because you'd want to compare the moves in dance to the moves in martial arts instead. You have to compare moves to moves or dance to martial arts, but what you can't do is compare the moves in one to just the martial arts themselves. So the way to fix this would be D, which reads this way. Many of the moves in the dance, such as jumps, rolls, and kicks, are similar to those in martial arts and acrobatics, meaning that the moves in the one are similar to the moves in martial arts. So always make sure that you're comparing like things whenever there's a comparison. So what should we look for to show false comparison? We should just look for anything with similarity between two items and make sure that those items that are being compared are actually similar. You'll see plenty of examples of this in some of the later tests, like test 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, I believe all have at least one false comparison in them. So be on the lookout for one, maybe two of these even on test day. What else? I think I marked at least a couple more things. I wanted to just hit this page here that has number 20 through 22 on the Chinese dance passage in test 8. So let's just kind of work through. I'll kind of walk through how I would do this page and handle each of these questions individually. As the parade winds its way through Chinatown, the music crescendos and the lion dance reaches its climax with the plucking of the greens. Now, this "it's" as it's written is "it is." Okay? This "it's" right here should be "it is." So you wouldn't want to say the lion dance reaches "it is" climax. So we're going to say that's the wrong "it's." So no changes out at that point, okay? Now we have the lion dance reaches its climax, or, well, this there right here refers to location, like here, there, everywhere. All of those words end with H-E-R-E, so that's not the right one because we want possession here. So then it's the question of it's or there. And if you remember what I might have mentioned to you in class, whenever you see this box, for some of you, I even wrote it on the back of your reminder notes sheet. For "it's" or "there," you want to ask the question, whose is it? And for "it" or "they," you want to ask the question, who is it? Okay, so with "it's" or "there," who is it? Now, whose is it? So the lion dance reaches its climax. Whose climax? The dance's climax, and dance is singular. So it should just be the lion dance reaches its climax, which is B. Moving along here, approaching a doorway in which dangles a red envelope filled with green money, the lion's teeth snare the envelope. Okay, now the key to this one is you have this phrase right here, approaching a doorway in which dangles a red envelope filled with green paper money, comma. You'd have to ask the question here, who is approaching a doorway in which dangles? Because the very next word after this should be whoever was approaching the doorway. This says the lion's teeth would be approaching the doorway. It's not just the teeth on their own approaching the doorway, that's silly. The lion is approaching the doorway, the envelope is not approaching the doorway, the teeth of the lion are not approaching the doorway. So if it says approaching a doorway, comma, had to be B, which is lion ensnares the envelope. And next, 22. I want to point this out because if you were paying attention a little earlier in the video, you already know that we have envelope, 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 envelope. And if you're reading the full context, you realize that this thing about the dangling from the doorway, this thing about the money in it, and this thing about money-filled envelope is all redundant and repetitive based on what's already been in there. So again, we're going to pick word instead of word, yada, yada. Hope you enjoyed this video. I should have some notes in the description of the video as well. And enjoy this week as you prepare for the test. Good luck.